Do you ever wonder about those little towns you drive through that are just a dot on a map? Places not many know much about. What made them, what broke them, what could still haunt them? Well, we're going to dive a little deeper into that. I'm your host, Doc Steph, and welcome to Rural Doc Hop. Our first stop on this adventure is Roscoe Village. I wanted to make this my first stop as this was my stomping grounds growing up. Between walking down the main drag and up the hills with my best friend to shopping the general store and other small stores for gifts for family and friends, many fond memories are found here. Roscoe Village is a small town just outside of Coshocton, Ohio. It was founded at the confluence of the Tuscarawas and Wahunding rivers, which joined to form the Muskingum River. Today, Ohio State Routes 16, 36, 83, and 541 all pass through this small area. Roscoe has since been annexed to the city of Coshocton, but its historic charm and story still can be seen. In 1816, James Calder laid out what was initially called Caldersburg. The need for the village sprang up from the local farmers hurting to pay the 25-cent ferry fee to Coshocton to sell their crops. That 25 cents in 2025 terms would have been approximately $8.55, a big hit for a small farmer who would only get 10 to 15 bushels per acre of wheat sown. Type of grain sold in Roscoe included rye, wheat, and barley, and corn was also traded here. Other trades that came to the village were found in broom making, weaving, the medical trade, grocers, and millwrights. In the 1820s, a large boom came for Little Roscoe Village at the Ohio and Erie Canal. The canal was hand-dug by laborers, including many Irish and German immigrants. Locks were built to raise and lower canal boats to different water levels. The canal was designed to be approximately 40 feet wide at the water line and narrowed to approximately 26 feet at the bottom and was normally approximately 4 feet deep. Hand tools were used such as picks and shovels. Oxen were used to haul heavy trees as well as heavy stones and other materials. Rock blasting was used in certain areas using hand drills and black powder to clear what could not be cleared with picks. Sandstone blocks were used to line the locks, and large wooden gates were hung to hold and release water at certain times to raise and lower the canal boats. Multiple locks were needed along this stretch of the Ohio and Erie Canal, a few of which can still be seen at Lake Park. The Aqueduct Bridge, now a pedestrian bridge in the park, just beside Roscoe Village Visitor Center, was used to carry the Ohio and Erie Canal over the Wahunding River between the Lake Park Basin and Roscoe Basin. It was made of wooden beams bolted together. At the time, this type of bridge was a modern marvel and protected the canal boats from being swept away at a river crossing. In 1830, Caldersburg was renamed to Roscoe Village after William Roscoe, known as one of England's first abolitionists who was very outspoken about the Atlantic slave trade. He was a lawyer, historian, and served a short term in Parliament. He was a very well-respected individual. For quite some time, Roscoe was a thriving village with blacksmith shops, a hotel, multiple mills, both grist and sawmills, a weaver, grocer, and many households. Its downfall started around 1887 when the Cleveland, Akron, and Columbus Railroad line was completed in Coshocton. In 1893, the Conotton Valley Railroad began servicing Coshocton. This made trade on the canal obsolete, and traffic slowed to nearly a standstill. The Great Flood of 1913 sealed Roscoe's fate. Flood water spread across 30 city blocks of Roscoe and Coshocton, destroying homes, businesses, and many parts of the canal. This flood was caused by a large Atlantic hurricane which had brought torrential rain to the area over a short period of time. Millions of dollars of damage was done to homes, farms, and businesses across Ohio. Due to this flood, the Vonderheide Act of 1914 was passed allowing millions of dollars of damage was done to homes, farms, and businesses across Ohio. Due to the flood, the Vonderheide Act of 1914 was passed allowing the state to establish watershed districts and infrastructure to help prevent future floods. Roscoe was restored by Edward Montgomery and later the Montgomery Foundation. His vision was to provide a step back in time to the canal era. This included 19th century buildings, actors in period-appropriate dress, and quaint shops. The main road in Roscoe is now called White Woman Street. Many have wondered about the name of this street over the years. It is named after a woman named Mary Harris, who was the first identifiable person of European descent to live in the county. She was taken captive by the Mohawks at age 10 in 1704 in the Deerfield, Massachusetts raid, along with over 100 other people. She married into the nation, and this is where she stayed her whole life. When she moved to the Coshocton area, she was known as the White Woman. Around 1750, the Native American town and river along it in Coshocton were named White Woman's Town and White Woman's River in French and English maps. I personally took one of my kiddos on the Living History tour through Roscoe Village Visitor Center. It starts at the small museum and gift shop located on the main floor of the visitor center, where a few dioramas and working replica of a canal boat lock can be seen. From there, you head down White Woman Street past the blacksmith shop that is open at certain times of the year to the Haycraft Learning Center. Here, for an additional fee, you can try your hand at candle dipping or leather and tin punching activities. A digital kiosk walks you through the history of printmaking, broom making, and other goods that were made regularly in Roscoe. From there, continue down the street past a few stores and the warehouse restaurant to Dr. Morrow Johnson's office and home, where more history awaits. Across the street lies the Boyd House, which is the oldest house in Roscoe. It was initially further down the street, but moved during the restoration of the village. Here you can see the traditional one-room home furnishings of the early 1800s, as well as a barn loom and other types of looms that the weaver who lived here would have used to make fabric for all sorts of uses. The final stop is the schoolhouse, where you will learn about children of the 1800s and how they would spend their days learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. After the tour, find your way into one of the many shops that line White Woman Street today. If you're interested in taking a further step back in time, you can ride the Monticello 3, a replica of one of the canal boats that comes through the Ohio and Erie Canal during Roscoe's heyday. A horse-drawn canal boat will guide you down a small stretch of original canal through the woods along Lake Park. The Johnson Humrick House Museum has exhibits including pioneer and Native American artifacts, as well as local artists and ever-changing revolving exhibits. Roscoe is home to many festivals. In August, Canal Days Festival can be seen with the Royal Court, food vendors, and art crafts and more, along with live music and special performances. Later in October, Apple Butter Stirrin' Festival comes with more vendors, live apple butter making, and entertainment. The candle lighting is a special event that has become a tradition for me growing up, and now with my family. Twice in December, Christmas music, stories, and the lighting of the village tree to the hymn Silent Night and candles being lit brings Christmas magic to life. You can find Roscoe Village molasses cookies, a recipe I make every year for loved ones, and other cookies and confections, hot chocolate and cider, as well as chestnuts being roasted over an open fire along White Woman Street. Lanterners are often given after the candle lighting for more historical fun. Another must-see includes the historical marker just outside of the visitor center. This discusses the history of the Underground Railroad in Coshocton County. Not one or two, but 4 Underground Railroad lines converged in Roscoe Village. Fugitive slaves were kept in homes and along the canal and river in caves and rock formations before moving north along the Erie Canal to Lake Erie and from there to Canada and freedom. Many homes in the area were used as safe houses for their escaping slaves. Were used as safe houses for those escaping slavery. Slave owners and bounty hunters were known to frequent Roscoe, waiting to capture fugitive slaves and tote them back to the southern states. Many well-known and well-respected individuals from the area harbored and helped those that wished to escape to freedom. Growing up in Roscoe, I got to experience one of those homes for myself. From the back of a closet in an upstairs bedroom, down behind a cabinet in the kitchen, a very slim and very steep hallway was used to usher slaves into the back of the home and into the safety of the upstairs and attic spaces. This home was located up Roscoe Hill and still stands today as a personal residence. Now that we've talked about the history and present Roscoe, let's talk a little bit about the medical practices of the time. As a practicing family physician, I find the difference between historical medicine and today's medicine practice amazing. Dr. Morrow Johnson was born in Dublin, New Hampshire in 1810. He originally apprenticed with a local physician before making his way by foot and steam wheeler to the Cincinnati College of Physicians. After completing his course of study, he came home on foot, carrying his medical textbooks with him. He opened his own practice where he was the prominent doctor in Roscoe for over 40 years. He lived with his wife and 4 children in Roscoe, many times trading chickens, produce, and other commodities for medical services. The type of procedures in the 1840s seemed barbaric and unusual compared to today's medicine. Bloodletting and blistering could be used for a number of ailments. Anesthesia was minimal, and if needed, surgeries were very risky. Dr. Johnson tried his best to use natural remedies whenever possible and grew his own medicinal garden behind his home and office on White Woman Street. Common medicines in the early 1800s included painkillers such as opium and morphine. Anti-fever medications included willow bark, the precursor to modern-day aspirin, and meadowsweet. Cathartics for loosening the stool, such as Ayer's pills and Beecham's pills, were used for any digestive issues. Opium could also be used for diarrhea and cough, cocaine for toothaches, and camphor for itchy skin. Arsenic and mercury were the mainstays for treatment, and the cankers caused by syphilis. Now let's get to the good part. What still haunts Roscoe? Many ghost stories are associated with Roscoe, some better than others. One of the most well-known hauntings is that of Matilda Wade. Matilda and her husband rented a lodging room in a hotel. This building later became the old warehouse store and today houses Indian Bear Cork and Coffee. According to historical reports, Wade was murdered in September of 1848. She had been doing laundry in the basement of the hotel. Blood was found in the laundry room and near the hotel cistern where her body was found. John Gearhart was charged with her murder and died just 3 months later. No known motive or other suspects were identified. People claim to see a full apparition of Matilda throughout the building and behind the building where the cistern was. Others have lived in apartments above the store, have objects moved, and other strange feelings. Across Hill Street from the old hardware store is the old sweet shop, now home to Huck's Tavern. It is said that the staff hear children laughing in the bathroom, but upon investigation, no one is there. If instead of crossing Hill Street from the hardware store, you cross White Woman Street, you will find the Warehouse Restaurant. This building was built around 1838 by Arnold Medbury. It was used for a warehouse, for canal cargo, and general merchandise store. For a short time, it was also the Roscoe Post Office. Now it houses the Warehouse Restaurant with a large room upstairs as a party room. In the basement is the P.R. Nice Lock 27 Tavern. It is said that the ghosts of an older lady and child appear to be felt in the laundry room of the subcellar below the tavern. Just down the street, a man is said to be seen standing at the corner of the old general store, which is now home to Good Boy Bakery. He is said to be seen in a shadow with a larger top hat, leaning quietly on warm summer nights when just the streetlights illuminate the brick sidewalk. Triple Lock's Theater is also said to be haunted. Multiple cold spots and full-figure apparitions have been reported by visitors and actors alike. Although a newer building compared to many in the area, it does sit next to the site of a previous mill, and locks where dangerous work was done and drowning risk were high. Local lore has it that one of the brick homes that sits on White Woman is haunted to the point that it exchanged hands quite regularly over the last few decades. One family moved in just to have one member push down the stairs. Another member felt more anxious and moody within the home. It is unknown who would have been the ghost or ghosts that haunt this home, but they seem to have either calmed or the current residents have made peace with them. Another home found on Roscoe Hill was that of a previous dentist. One of the owners felt she was pushed down the stairs, toys would play without batteries, and the turntable came on even when unplugged. After further research, it was found that a young boy, only 11 years old, had a sledding accident and likely died of tetanus following this. The owner learned that sometimes young children need to know it's okay to move on and that family and friends are waiting on them. Once this was done, the activity ceased and all was quiet again in the home. These stories and more are found around Roscoe Village and the surrounding countryside. So what do you think? Would you visit and learn more about a small dot on the map? Would you look into more history of an unknown small town, the area it was founded in and thrived, and what caused it to decay over time? Or would you even dare to hunt for the ghosts that haunt the area? Stay tuned to Rural Doc Hop for more small town history and lore. Thank you for lending your ear. I'm Doc Steph, signing off for now.